You might have seen Owiny Hakim on TV here in Uganda or heard him on the radio. Maybe you've even passed him in Kampala in your car or on the bus. He's an environmental activist, he's a civic educator, and he's a proud wearer of a neon green cycling helmet. He has a black one today, though. He's all about getting out and doing things. In 2019, he walked from Uganda to Addis to highlight the African Union's Agenda 2063. And in 2023, he cycled from Uganda to Nairobi to highlight the importance of safe cycle lanes. And he's pretty much made it his mission in life to make cycling an easy way for people to get around in Kampala. Which means two things: getting people on their bikes and making the city better for cyclists. So first, Hakim, welcome to Climate Talk Uganda.
Thank you. Honored to be at Climate Talk Uganda to highlight on some of the challenges we face as a community.
And solutions.
And solutions as well.
I was going to ask you how you got here this morning, but I'm seeing the helmet.
Every day is a car-free day for me. And when I tell people cycle, I'm not driving, I'm cycling. And we know our city is choking in air pollution. So one of the solutions I demonstrate, I display, I put in people's faces, let's get on the bicycles. It will improve on the air quality in our city. We are going to reduce on the travel time. People spend almost a half of their life commuting in Kampala.
In a taxi, in their cars, in traffic jam.
And all that.
Was there ever a time before bicycles for you?
Yeah, there was a time before bicycle for me. But from childhood, going from northern Uganda, bicycle is a thing. We grew up seeing our aunties, our moms, cycling distances to take grains to grinding machine, because those are like very luxury to get. And if I find like a community where your staple food is posho, you have to harvest maize, and these were like 40 kilometers I'm talking about.
Where in northern Uganda are you from?
I've been in all places because of displacement. Originally, Agago, a place called Adilang. So if you know Abim district is only 13 kilometers away from my place. Then Kidgum, then Gulu, then Pade. I've been all those places.
Which one is the bicycle city of northern Uganda? I think I have an idea, but...
All northern Uganda bicycle villages or cities or sub-county.
Lira? No?
Surprisingly, Lira has made its name in bicycle. You may think everyone in Lira is cycling 2 bicycles because the population of bicycles in Lira city are more than people, like everywhere, every corner you see. Actually, bicycle is a thing because even when you're like looking for a date in Lira, the lady will ask you, do you have a bicycle? That's a joke, by the
way. When you were coming this morning, which way did you come?
I came from Portbell Road, the roundabout that joins Hotel Africana, then Wampeo Avenue, then that from office. But even in the morning, I use the same road from Ntinda, then Mackenzie Valley, then I don't know, how do you call that road?
This seemed like pretty, because you're in suburbs, right? You're driving through suburbs when you're speaking about Mackenzie.
Okay, you come from Ntinda, like Kira, from Chigowa to Ntinda, then you slope, then you join by Mackenzie.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was your trip?
The trip was good. What drives me insane in Kampala is people who don't respect roads, traffic, safety rules. And the two-wheelers are chronically violating traffic safety rules. The cyclists, the border, it seems like they're immune yet to traffic safety rules. So that, and they kind of laugh at me when I stop at red lights. They're like, what are you doing here? They look at me like a madman.
They're hooting. You're in our way. Get out of our way.
You're in our way.
From your cyclist's lens, how would you describe Kampala?
Well, it's, I don't know, from the traffic, because there are many ways, from the air pollution standpoint, from the traffic standpoint, from the community mindset standpoint, from the lack of safe cycling lane standpoint. They're like different ways, really.
From the flood standpoint. From all of those standpoints.
Well, there's a lot of work to be done. We, as the people in Kampala, I would say, And when I mean we as the people, I mean people in communication space, people in academic space, technocrat space, health expert space, engineering space, and the residents of Kampala. There's some challenges we need to address, all of us. Instead of pointing fingers, we need to work together to address serious challenges in our city. Otherwise, Kampala may be unlivable in the next couple of few years. And this is, I know these are like bold statements I'm making, but this is from my observation. When you see how we drive, the kinds of cars we drive, when you see how we handle waste, just burning rubbish and causing a lot of pollution in the city, the traffic congestion, the economic losses we incur as a city in traffic losses, the amount of hours, human resource stuck in jam right now, the air pollution. Kampala needs a serious bailout from the air pollution. When you go to Lung Institute, Cancer Institute, you may, like, these are scary things. And we keep seeing, if we keep seeing them like the way borders in Kampala see traffic lights, we're in a dangerous space. And this is something, some of the things we need to sit down and discuss and find a way out. And
Hakim, the life you've chosen, the thing that you're passionate about, has taken you to a number of cities. I know this one for a fact.
Yeah.
What do you see that's extremely different, that's working for other cities that we need to know about?
And it's from the observation. Like, I've been to cities, I participated in cycling events or e-mobility parades in cities like Nairobi. They have their challenges, but institutions and community, they're working together. They're making attempts to address some of these challenges. Recently, Addis Ababa just went through transport revolution. They're like revolutionizing their cities. They're like widening roads, prioritizing safe cycling lanes, pedestrians' ways, and to reduce on, because the cities are growing. And today we are defining modernization as in urbanization. So when you say urbanization is basically equal to nature loss. Mm-hmm. And the mode of life we choose, the urbanization, the kind of prosperity we choose, if it's equal to nature loss, it puts us in a dangerous space as the people. When you go to cities like, when you read about traffic, like road development policy, like in Tanzania, they prioritize pedestrian first, then safe cycling lane, then whatever remains, the one remains for the cars.
In Uganda.
So in they Uganda. Take for cars. It's a conversation we're having. Of course, and again, from the advocacy, activism, or civic standpoint, I have arrived at a point where I don't want to point fingers at people, because whatever, or institutions, because whatever informed the existing or the knowledge the institution based on, it's based from the public. When public are not asking critical questions on how we are managing our natural resources, the political will is not going to be there. The institutional will is not going to be there. So how do we wake up the 99% of the population to ask environmental, to ask climate conscious question? And that will inform our cities as they get developed.
And that 1% is also part of the population.
But that 1%, well, they have access to resources, they have access, they make decisions, but also you have to understand this from the human motivation standpoint. Sometimes if there's no pressure pushing you to do something, you're not going to do it.
You give the people what they want.
You give the people what they want.
Or what you think they want.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the dilemma we find ourselves in. So how do we wake up the 99% to start asking serious, like climate conscious question, environmental conscious question, and also revolutionize our culture? We live in the way that enable us to use our environmental resources in a sustainable way. So there's no direct answer. We are making attempts. We right now, with you here talking, we are making attempts to address some of these challenges. So you're doing your communication. You're using a communication space to shed lights on the shadows of climate change that they are going to give us. So the community need to wake up, institutions need to wake up, students, parenting cultures need to wake up. We need to revolutionize everything and change on how we approach our challenges.
I like that you're constantly bringing in the climate change angle, just even the words. What do you see as the benefits of cycling to the climate that we are finding ourselves in, this very changing climate? How does cycling come into play? Why is it a big deal?
For me, cycling is a low-hanging solution that we can easily adapt. That first of all, mobility or transport is core of any prosperity or human endeavor. For you to to be here, you move from somewhere. You may not have had breakfast yet, or lunch, but at least you made a mobility from point A to point B to be here. That shows how important transport is. And cycling can easily move you from one point to another, use a very small space. That means it's not resource intensive, like, say, using a bus or using a car. And if massively adopt cycling as a population, as resident in Kampala, we are going to see, we're going to reduce on, first of all, we're going to reduce on our transport cost. It's economically very viable. Guess how much my transport budget a month is?
How much?
It's hardly 10,000.
What?
It's I charge my bicycle on Yaka, it cost me 700, full charge, and I use it for 3 days.
700
shilling.
700 shillings?
700 shilling. Then I use it for 3 days. So my transport cost in 3 days, including even coming here, I don't have to think about transport. It's basically, that's transport cost. I attend all these meetings, stakeholder engagement, visiting different companies in the industrial area. I don't think about transport. And in the process, I'm fit. So if massively, as the population in Kampala, let's say a half of it, adopt cycling, we're going to reduce on the transport cost. You may think that, okay, Kampala is hilly, cycling is hard. There's electric bicycles. Electric bicycle may come at the fee of maybe 3.2 or 3.5. But when you look at the hours you spend in traffic jam and amount of transport you spend every week and you factor it, you easily spend 4 million in transport in the year without knowing, just because you spend small.
Yep.
You get on the Uber now, from this point, say, to Sheraton, how much will that be? Come back, how much will that be? Including the time loss. So basically, when you see the human resource time loss, the financial loss in the process, if we and the other angle I want to tell you that, do you know that Uganda, this is data available, if you that it was proving the rationale of adopting e-mobility, that we spend close to $2 billion to import fuel to run our mobility in Uganda, transport, mainly transport. Well, it goes into other things like industry, but mainly it's for transport. So $2 billion to economy like Uganda.
This $2 billion in what?
In fuel cost.
In a year?
In a year.
We were just having this conversation in our previous episode with Felix from Green Hub, East Africa. So it's nice for you to put these figures there.
Yeah.
$2 billion.
$2 billion. In economy, economy is very interesting. Now we are linking climate change to economy and how it affects us. It's a circular form. So once you have a leakage, and now this is not a leakage, this is a pour. $2 billion from Uganda, where you find the unemployment rate is high, the education quality is questionable, the health issue is questionable. Yet we have resources we are not using efficiently, like hydropower, we have sunshine. These are renewable energy that we can easily tap into and save this $1 billion to invest in other ventures where it can give us economic stability and other development stability. But we're just pouring it and burning it. In Kampala, they say we burn close to $500 million just in fuel in a day, the daily cost of traffic jam. When you're idling your car in traffic jam. Imagine each car.
This is just Kampala. No, you're making me want to turn off my car when I'm in traffic. This is just Kampala, not the country.
This is Kampala, because this is where the traffic jam is intense. Now, imagine the financial cost of just that car idling. You're burning fuel, but also the impact of that fuel on the air. So we are in a bad space if we don't change our way, if we don't change how we behave, how we interact with these resources. Air is one of the most important resource. And when the air quality like drop or reduces, which is Kampala air quality is very questionable. A lot of people are sick. People are incurring their money
In the hospital.
in hospital.
I can, with your cyclist hat on, what does climate change look like for you?
It's a scary thing. It's if I'm to paint a picture of climate change, I'm seeing it in terms of resource conflicts. So temperatures or floods may not come and kill us, but conflicts, human needs are going to dwindle. And when human areas of survival are shrinked, people will resort to killing each other. You may start hearing cases of like fighting for grazing land, fighting for garden spaces, like cultivation area. Those are the things that are going to kill us first. Air pollution is already killing us. That is no question. If you visit the Lung
Institute.
Lung Institute or the Cancer Institute, and you see how much people are spending, or how people are infected, and the human resource capital, people are sick and they're not able to go to work because of the air quality. That's already impact.
And people are staying home to take care of them.
People are staying, like when you put all this together and give it a human resource value, economic figure, you will see that we're in a very bad shape. Now, that is an early warning. These things are happening. The data is there, and the people have given warning, only that we are not acting as an institution and we are not acting as a people. We are not changing our ways of life as a people. We look at it like the way border. I like giving the example border looking at red lights and just go through it. And that's how we are organizing it. So on the other way, we are the borders on road at the climate. So assuming the climate is a road and we're not respecting anything about it, we the people who think like we are very intellectual, we are very understanding, not seeing climate change as an afterthought, we are the border violating
The red light.
The red lights.
Does it worry you? I'm thinking about you on your bicycle, and even when you've done these walks, you're out in this air. What's your biggest worry?
My biggest worry, well, when you arrive at a certain point and there are dreams that bigger than you and you cease worrying. Like me, actually, I get scared when I'm thinking about something that only serves me. And even that is my prayer, that if whatever I'm going to do serves only me, may life strike me with a thunderstorm. Because that's very selfish. I start getting worried. But if I have like a bigger vision that serves everyone, I don't even think it may be as risky as ending today, and I'll go for it.
What's your bigger vision now?
My bigger vision, thanks for asking that. I vision seeing Kampala with self-inclusive roads. Pedestrians are safe on the road. Cycling are safe on the road. Kampala is green. Everyone is enjoying their lives. It's a healthy city. It's prospering. And that's why I'm interested interacting with health experts from the Makerere School of Public Health. I'm interested to interact with engineers at KCCA, that how can we achieve this? And with engineering, with solutions we have today, with dreams, with vision of young people in engineering space, these things can be possible.
2 questions for you there. Number 1, how? Well, I've lost track of the first question, but the second question, how easy or difficult was it for you? Lone man, because I know that you started this journey on your own. Yeah. Lone man walking into these different institutions and just speaking this message.
It's you need to identify allies. So it's difficult. The first time I went to KCCA cycling, I got a backlash with security. We don't have parking space for bicycle here. You don't even have space for you. Then it was challenging. Then that is the gate at the gate. Before you meet anyone who understand, or you just have to be humble. At the end of the day, to come back to human relationship. You respond, they're in charge. Otherwise, when you also react arrogantly, they will stop you and you'll not get the right person you meet. Then, I say, okay, I need guidance. I'm lost. There's a lot of orders. You're like 3 of you. Okay, how can we go about this? So when they saw my response, like, I just need guidance. I need to go there, and my means of transport is a bicycle. Where can I park it? There's, okay, put it there. We don't allow bicycle this side. I'm like, okay, is it safe here? Just assure me. Like, yeah, you'll find it there. Do you have what? Then I parked it. Then I went. I went to KCCA. Then I met it was unexpected what I met comparing to my first impression at the gate. So I met Engineer Justus. He's a director at engineering department at technical service. He understood the language I was speaking. But because given his busy nature and because a lot of work going on in the city, he gave me person to contact. That was Engineer Irene Namuyiga. She's in charge of road safety. Unfortunately, she left KCCA now to pursue other things. But she's still within the road safety space. Then we started collaborating with Irene. Okay, how do we pull this off? I understand the language you're speaking. So this comes building allies. It may not it's not the whole institution, but you get someone in the institution who can talk to people they know.
Okay.
And she mobilized partners. This is ITDP, the International Transport Development Policy Organization. They're in charge of developing transport system for cities. Like, okay, let's first get on the bikes on our own. So I got the bikes, 2 staff from ITDP. These were ladies.
What's ITDP?
IT, International Transport Development Policy. It's a civil society that's in charge of developing transport. Yeah. So these were 2 ladies. I'm like, oh, this is even better. Like ladies on their bicycle. We did a cycling. Some of them had spent years without cycling, and their balance was not on a bit. But we risked cycling within Kampala. The next thing, I'm like, okay, how do we pull it off? Engineer Irene mobilized all the engineering from different divisions of KCCA. And we did a cycling. And will you be able to provide bicycle? How many of them? We build a functional relationship from there. Then it takes time building trust. What is your intention here? What are you doing? Is what you're doing aligned with our objective? Things like that.
And a lot of humility.
Humble.
So all of this has become a monthly cycling.
It has come into a Kampala cycling day. Of course, that one went on when the Kampala cycling day was already in space.
Okay.
Like KCCA joined us in March. We started in January officially. But the idea was born in August last year when I was cycling from Kampala to Nairobi.
I don't know how you do it, Hakim.
So all this, and over time, of course, people get to know you, what drives you. And as long as it's aligned with their overarching agenda, people will align with you. Now, today I work with organizations like Air Quality, Air Core Project in Makerere. They develop gadgets that measure air quality. I work with, we collaborate with the Makerere School of Public Health, City Move, ITDP, community cycling groups like Fun Cycling Uganda, Life Cyclers from Mukono. There are a number of cycling companies together.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of people cycling, but then we just don't have the road network for it.
You need to start somewhere. Like when it comes to climate action, it's like a chicken egg question. Where do you start? If you go to my first encounter was like, the reason why we don't design roads with safe cycling lane in Kampala, because Uganda don't cycle. And that's a genuine reason. Because from the engineering standpoint, when you don't see people doing something, you won't provide for it. That's the engineering mindset. You need to see a problem for you to address it. But again, you're like, okay, the other question now is like, maybe they don't cycle because there's no safe cycling lane. So how do we approach this?
But what's that? I don't understand that argument, because the same lane that a bicycle would use is the same that a motorcycle would use, right?
Yeah, that
Yes, and Hakim, you know how many motorcycles are in Kampala alone.
that's a genuine concern. But let's first put the lane there. At least it's better than that's a beginning. Let's first address one issue at hand. But also, like being in this space of advocating for self-inclusive roads, the number of stakeholders involved, that's something we don't see from outside. A person who designed a road is different from the person who make the decision if that design is going to be taken on. It's different from the person who's financing the road. It's different from the user as well. And most of the user don't have even a say. But when the road is established, the person who financed the road, they have no right over it. The user become the main stakeholder. So they're like different level of stakeholders engagement. So all this intricate, you can only understand it and approach it in a very dialogue, solution providing way once you're in it. And these are things I've learned over time. Like, okay,
You're doing the work.
it's very easy to be out and blame, but are you taking steps to understand how these things are done? And now, when you talk about the air quality, I'm not an expert in air quality. I need to build allies. That's why the Air Corps comes in. They have a scientific gadget that measure air quality in the Kampala and the implication. They study this. Then the School of Public Health, they know, okay, what is cycling and walk? How can it improve on the public health of the population? So you need to work with different. So for me now, my work in this space on how do we mobilize ourselves as a community to address some of these challenges.
You have an e-bike.
I have we make e-bikes.
When you say we make, you are part of the team that makes.
I work for the team that makes the e-bike.
Tell me about these e-bikes.
It's it's EB. It's a EB. It's called E-Mobility Uganda. It's a company started in Kenya in 2021. We have only been in Uganda for the last 1 year. And I got to know them because of my cycling advocacy activity and started working with them. Basically, they designed these bikes for African market.
Do we have that many e-bikes?
Yeah.
Bicycles.
Yeah, e-bicycles or e-cycling. How many do you want to buy?
How many do we have on the road now?
Right now in Uganda, we have close to 400 bikes. We have a fleet. Bicycles. Yeah. We have a fleet of 150 with Glovo. So if you've ordered food from Glovo, out of 5 orders, you might have seen 3 being delivered on the electric bicycle.
Do you have any women riding these bicycles?
We've tried. Now that's an interesting thing. We tried. Our first rider was a lady. Now this is where the gender things comes in, and that's where like my position as a ESG advocacy at EB comes in. Culture is a very serious vice in this community. We got a woman rider. She comes in, she get on the job, she's providing leadership for all this team, she's having an income. After 1 week, the boyfriend tells her that if I see you on the bicycle again, say bye-bye to the relationship. So the lady look at the man and look at the bicycle, and she said bye to the bicycle. To save our relationship.
Why did she choose the man, but did he have a problem with it?
Now this is where like the gender thing comes in, like traditional plays against us. Because it's really like bicycles are not fit for women to cycle. These are basically traditional perception that play on our mind. And the gentleman didn't feel comfortable seeing his girlfriend on the bicycle. And of course, that plays out from the weaker voice. A lady having a weaker voice in a relationship, she had to give in. But these are things some of them we have tried to address them. So what we have done, we collaborate with organizations like Girls with Tools. They train ladies in male-dominated spaces, but they are training ladies in this case. Yeah, they are training ladies in plumbing, electric skills, mechanical skills, like male-dominated industry, but they are training ladies in that. So we partner with Girls with Tools, get girls, give them apprenticeship for 2 weeks and give them employment. So when you walk in our assembly line, you will see girls assembling these bikes.
Okay.
So that's our start. Then maybe slowly we can attract them on riding. And of course, we have tried to use influential figures like Amanda Ngabirano to cycle to break down that cultural stereotype. So the number of vices that are playing against climate actions are a lot. It's culture, it's knowledge gap, it's like some perception, beliefs, or classism. Like all these, we need to come together and try to address them in one thing.
The e-bicycles we have in Uganda, and you said you're also in Kenya and in Rwanda.
Yeah.
How many in comparison to the other countries?
In Uganda, like Kenya, of course, they are high. Do you mean other countries like where we are operating? Yeah. Kenya, we have close to 2,000 riders. Those are like in the fleet food delivery because Nairobi is a very big city compared to Kampala. Then Uganda, what we are seeing adoption in Uganda is catching up. People have bought bicycles. We see companies renting them because we also have service rental. A company like, say, Climate Talk Uganda can come to us and like, we want to integrate zero emission mobility in our fleet. So get us 5 bicycles. We rent every month. So some of your staff, if they cycle once in a week, they're reducing on their emission. It's a small action towards a solution.
They need to first learn how to cycle.
I'll provide that. You let me know. I'll bring the bicycle here. I will teach them how to cycle. Yeah. Then Kigali, of course, we see they're forward thinking. They're like getting them, but they're, of course, Kigali also being like small compared to Kampala, the number, but we're seeing them growing.
Okay. When you're out there cycling, you're putting a lot of trust in the other road users, cars and truck drivers, and people that you've mentioned don't even respect the road rules, and it feels a little scary. What's been your experience? Have you had any close shaves?
Yeah, of course. It's trust on the road. You don't trust anyone else on the road. I love space, and I communicate on the road. So I don't know if it's. Of course, you try to show respect, and people will give you respect. I've had close calls. That is scary. But of course, like any other sphere of life, there's always close calls. There's always that thing that encounters you. But I think over time is also temperament, part of your temperament. Like without soldiers fighting for a nation, you can't have security for a nation. Some of these things are there. Some road users are very reckless, but also you communicate to them. I like giving signals. I put on bright colors on the road. I've seen over time the same route I use. Some drivers respect me. Some of them cover me up. I've had an encounter where like, okay, let's go. I'm covering you up. Like few civic road users that have cared for me, and I appreciate. If you're outside there, ever seen a guy in neon reflector with a neon helmet and you covered me up, thank you very much. And let's keep promoting road civility and taking care of each other. Because at the end of the day, we want to build a community that gives meaning and purpose to every life while promoting sustainable use of our resources and taking action towards climate change.
I walked into Addis Ababa to popularize African Agenda 2063. It took me 2 months to complete the journey to Addis Ababa. I hitchhiked in some places because of security along the way, especially in deserts. I remember this conversation, do you?
Yeah. It's still fresh.
We had this conversation about your trip, your walk to Addis in my previous line of work. When you think about your entire journey, the walking, the riding, bicycles, what pushes you?
Yeah, it's something inside me there. I can't explain it. It's sometimes it's emotion. Sometimes you look how you can make things much better, or maybe it's also exposure that I've had the luxury of seeing other cities and how other people behave and they take action towards their problem. And I seeing that we have a lot of potential as Uganda. We have a lot of potential as African, but we just decided to ignore our potential and portion blames to whoever we can see and blame. And I see that is counter progress towards us, and we are not doing it. We are not doing justice to people who are going to live after us, and we are not building. People say we stand on the shoulder of big giants. The children who are born today, they are definitely going to stand on the shoulder of weak people. And we are doing that as a continent, we are doing that as a country, and we are doing those things as a family, and we should stop them because they don't serve us any purpose. When you look at the history of humanity, people build their capability from themselves, tapping into their resources. Some of them, they went also invading other, but we cannot do that anymore. When with the presence of international community, small countries are able to exist among big countries, but these small countries need to cultivate their capability, pursue their stability, prosperity, for them to give enabling environment to their people. And as Africa, as the country, as the region, we need to do a better job. And that's part of the thing that motivates me, that we have a lot of potential. When you look at countries, say, when you read about countries like Singapore, that they had to bring soil to cultivate their plants from somewhere else. When you read about countries like, say, the Korea of today, when you read about countries like Japan, like 70% of their land, they cannot cultivate it, is mountainous. But Japan today is, in terms of natural resources, we are richer than them many times. But this is a country that donates things to us. Look at countries, it's an island in the sea. UK, when you look at its landmass, the resources they have, Africa is 100 times more richer than them. But they made a stroke and they colonized the whole world at one point. So when you see the group of certain group of people, how they mobilize their capability to build their stability, economic prosperity, and the human resources, and you just look at us, we just there. Say, we need to write this, do this. We need to write this. We need to tap into our capability. Me as Hakim, I cannot do that. And that's why I'm strong at mobilizing everyone, creating awareness that community, put yourself together, mobilize your capability, tap into your resources, build your economic prosperity. You can do that. African agenda is here, 2063. We are not going to achieve it by just passage of time. If we don't do anything today, and start by awareness, my journey was to create awareness. Transformation starts with knowledge. My surprise, all these 2 months, there are not more than 10 people I found that they knew about their agenda. And that is scary, yet it's African agenda. A lot of young people today, they don't, actually we need to do a talk again about African Agenda 2063. Very ambitious, very promising. It's the Africa we want, but
are 90%,
are we living it? Or we are just living in the vibe today? We are not doing any sacrifice. We are not making any attempt.
One of the key things that you've said is exposure. I think it's played a big influence in your life because you've gone and seen what can happen. You've gone and seen what has happened when, things didn't change. And I think that's a thing that we greatly lack.
But we have a population that exposed to a lot of information, educated. Today, when you compare to the time maybe some of these countries develop and compare to ubiquity amount of information and channels we have access today, we just decide to listen to things that don't make any progress.
What are the 3 pieces of advice you'd give someone who wants to start cycling in Kampala today?
First, get on the bike. Just get a bike and start cycling.
E-bike or any bike?
Any bike. Just get on the bike. When you find it's challenging, come to EB. I don't want to sound like I'm advertising, but in the hilly Kampala or hilly areas, e-bikes are much easier. That's why I'm able to come here still fresh. Don't I look like I came in a Range Rover?
You look like you had a Range Rover with the air conditioner on at proper.
Yeah. I came with an e-bike. Just get an electric bicycle. You can use it, just cycle. If you find it difficult to cycle for a cause like me, just cycle to work. It's much cheaper. You won't get stuck in traffic jam. put on like bright clothes where people can see you, like drivers can see you easily. Be respectful on the road and keep your space safe. Be present. The thing is about cycling, you don't need to think in the future. You don't need to think in the past. You need to be present all the time. Focus. You need to anticipate everyone's move. You need to see everything around you. So that's one safety thing. And you're the only wise man in the process. Yeah. So you don't...
I think for every road user, you need to think that I'm the only sane person on this road. So I'm going to... Yeah.
And learn how to make good decisions. Most people learn how to drive, but they don't know how to make good decisions on the road.
That's a very painful point. If you could click your fingers and enact 3 innovations in Kampala that would make cycling easier, what would they be?
We need to revolutionize our culture. First, cycling is not for poor people. That perception needs to get out of the window and throw it out, that anyone can cycle. We have seen cities that are clean, where people go and take good selfies like Netherlands. Their ministers, executives, they cycle to work. We need to provide safe, inclusive roads.
Paint the picture of a safe, inclusive road.
A safe, inclusive road is basically, we're talking about this physical structure. Like you have pedestrian walkways. You have where people with 2-wheelers, physically, like 4-wheelers, people with physical disability can easily.
So if I have a wheelchair,
commute.
I can use that.
Yeah, you have a safe cycling lane. Then you have a road with a car, also with a limited speed. Like especially in congested cities, you need like to limit speed that are safe enough for everyone. Just in case anything goes wrong, it's not as fatal as like a speeding car. Then also road civility.
Common sense,
which is very hard to practice in this sense. We need road civility, keeping each other in regard that whatever action I am going to take, I need to think about you, everyone else I'm seeing, how is it going to impact you? So once we have those things in space, I think we can build a very beautiful community, considering that people need to move. People move. Mobility is a core, is a crutching. They cannot talk about economic empowerment or women empowerment or school without mobility. These structures, people need to move from their house to go and look for food. People need to move from their house to go and attend meetings. Families, people move from their house. You don't marry your sister. You need to move to another neighborhood to look for your spouse or something like that. Everything. So it's like we need to make it safe for everyone. So then other complex ideas, technology will get us on the way, but we need to make ourselves safe. There's no way we are going to innovate complex things if you have failed to take care of the simple things. Mindset. We need to revolutionize mindset, to be civil, to be careful. Just take care of each other.
Thanks, Hakim.